Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we're going into game number 2 of Motive, going up against Rush in his revenge match. If you missed yesterday, definitely do check that out right now before you watch this. So, Motive, obviously, you know, having a very hard time in his first SSL season, but put out a much better game there against Rush. In this revenge match, and I do love the idea. Again, a big shout out to Dudenerd for putting this together. You know, it sucks when you have a tough loss like that, and you know that's just what a huge percentage of fans see, right? Not everyone watches like every game from these guys. I know a lot of you guys watch a lot of them because you're on the ArtosisCasts channel. I do want to thank you for that. Thank you for subscribing, and if you're not subscribed, I definitely do ask that you check that out. Of course, liking the video, leaving a comment, all that is fantastic as well. So, big thank you, guys. But yeah, we're on Kickback now, which is a map that's a little bit tough in Terran versus Protoss, it seems, right? Like, you can make a lot of nexuses here. They're hard to attack into. But we'll see how that goes. I've definitely seen some pros have some pretty strong games here, and obviously, if you look at the last game that we just saw, Rush looks unbelievably strong, right? Like, there is definitely an argument that he's the best Terran in the world currently. Now, it looks here, he's going to be doing a gasless expansion, you can see, because he's queued up another SCV instead of making a gas. So he'll probably just be expanding here, right? This is a pretty tight format. Like, if you want to rush up there, you have to kind of walk by this area. It's not going to work out well, right? So, nice setup there from Rush, and of course, you can put a bunker up here. Looking over on Motive's side of the map, just looks like a normal opener, which might put him slightly behind. This is like a funny thing because it's one of the best Nexus First maps that we've literally ever seen. And a lot of pros are not going Nexus First here. I feel like there must be some inner metagame. Oh, he's going to expand there first? Okay. I thought because of the closeness, this would make more sense, right? But yeah, anyways, there must be some inner metagame from the pros where there's like some killer rushes or something, like just putting barracks in the center randomly. There was a period where that was happening as Nexus First was really popping up. We actually saw a lot of top Terran pros just make barracks in the center of the map. And that was one of these situations where you're forcing the metagame to change by taking a ridiculous risk, right? Because if you put 2 barracks in the middle of the map, I actually did see one Protoss hold that once, and that was disgusting with the Nexus First. It was like the Forge version. Well, actually, it wasn't. It was like it started with Zealots and turned into a Forge where he ended up holding and winning, but very, very rare, right? It's like BBS against the Hatchery First. It's like, okay, well, I mean, this generally is supposed to just kill that. But anyways, we see Protoss is sometimes at the pro level taking the worst end of build orders here, and that's exactly what we see. Now, he was faking Dragoon range. He was getting the air attack there to kind of make the SCV think that he was going range, and that might force Rush into something such as going quick siege mode. Instead, look at that. He cancels. He goes Citadel and Nexus. So this is going to be a very fast DT rush. There is a world in which this could be a DT drop, but he has to start the robo really, really quick here. He has to stop any SCVs from coming in to scout him as well. Notice he's keeping 1 Dragoon back, tightening this up a little bit. 1 Dragoon forward. He wants to show this Dragoon, make him think like, oh, maybe I need siege mode, that type of thing. And there is the robo. Yeah. So this is going to be a Dark Templar drop. And, I mean, that can get you. It's fast. It's fast. I don't know if you guys knew this, but there are ways to make a DT rush. I mean, a DT drop faster than a Reaver drop. I know that sounds crazy, but the DTs and the shuttle build out of a different building, right? So you don't have to wait for a Reaver build time. So, like, DT drops can come earlier than Reaver drops, which can throw you for a little bit of a loop. You got to kind of read it a little bit. Now, this is a mostly tight wall, okay? DTs can walk in there. I don't know if they can walk in there. I don't think so. I think this is tight right there against DTs. But they can walk in there, just as a note. Well, walking doesn't really matter, right? Because they're going to have their very own shuttle. Now, 1 DT already on the way, same time as this shuttle. So this will be a very, very fast Dark Templar drop. Motive mining from the 2 bases. You can see that he's actually down a good 8 workers at the moment. And this is a triple command center from Rush. Motive has to get some damage done with this. I can't believe that before he has a siege tank, he has his 3rd command center nearly done. eBay on the way. The funny thing is, based on how many units get dropped out, right? So it looks like it'll be a 2 DT drop. And see, this is faster. Like, you would start the Reaver right now, and you'd have to wait for that, then go. So this is going to be a very fast DT drop. But here's the thing. Tanks don't actually kill DTs quickly. Vultures do. Marines actually kill DTs faster than tanks in a lot of ways, but that's kind of a complicated, weird situation. And he's going to have enough missile turret coverage that you should look at this and say, well, the DT drop is countered. But it's not as countered as hard as you think, because the 2 DTs absolutely here could do something like target down turrets before the tanks can get up and kill them, right? It's hard to out-repair 2 DTs on a turret. They take up a lot of that surface area already. So here we go. He's going to go ahead and... Holy shit. He flies right past the turrets and only 1 DT gets out. Uh-oh. Obviously not a good situation. He's trying to slow down this DT so that he can get turrets up in his main base. That is one way you can do it. These are kind of anti-Reaver turrets. And look at this. There's like a lot of glitching going on. He is sacrificing a lot here to try to get this done. And he keeps pushing the DT into vision. DT gonna hold position there for a moment. He does, like, this is so close. No vision there, right? That's what we're seeing. Okay, and now he'll just target his own SCVs. Oh, what? So that had like lingering vision as it walked away. There's some weird things about detection in StarCraft 1 that a lot of people don't know. That actually adds a little bit of RNG to detecting invisible units. One of the big things that I point out sometimes is that scan actually doesn't have a set duration for detection. For vision, sure, but or like specifically the detection part of it. Actually, the vision of it is actually a little bit RNG as well. But there's actually a range where occasionally you won't kill a cloaked unit that you will kill like 90% of the time because it just is the fastest, the shortest time period. It has to do with like the game cycles to decide if you can see something. And if the scan timing just, and you can't tell, right? You can't tell what it's going to be. But sometimes it just lines up where like you'll scan and it takes extra time to see it, or you scan and it stops looking at it for extra time. So what we saw there was very likely just the cycling of when you could see it. And he had vision a little bit longer than probably he actually should have based on the range from the turret. Anyways, enough talking about that. Was the DT rush good enough? The DT drop, was it good enough here is what we should look at, okay? So they're tied up in workers. Obviously, a lot of lost mining time. He did lose like the 1 turret. He lost some SCVs. Looking at these 2 positions, it's pretty close, but I do think that Rush is a bit ahead here, okay? Like, tech-wise, I actually like a lot of what's going on for Motive. He's got, like, really heavy tech. He's getting into Arbors already. Arbors are really good on kickback. So, you know, there's some very good redeeming things going on for him. But on Rush's side, you can look at numbers in TVP, and it tells a clearer story in this matchup than probably any other. Where it's like, okay, their workers are within a few, and we're in mid-50s. Mid to late 50s, right? That's very good for Terran. Their supplies are about even. Very good for Terran, right? In games that oftentimes are considered even, Protoss might be up 20 supply, right? So right now, it's like basically there's 0% chance for Motive to really do anything against Rush. They're quote-unquote like even in a lot of ways, right? They've got a similar economy. They've got a similar supply, but that generally does favor the Terran player. Now, obviously, nothing is so simple as that in StarCraft. Just kind of my general feel for this situation. Dropship coming up for Rush. I kind of like the idea of him grabbing a dropship right now. I think he'll probably go Science Vessel right after. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, I think right now, if he can maybe move around with a tank and vultures or 2 tanks, or, well, I guess he's going to go with 4 vultures. Actually, there's no photon cannon in the mineral line. So this actually could be, in theory, the strongest thing that he could do. You know, if your opponent has no cannon, this is the best. If you're hitting a very fringe base, 2 tanks is generally the best. And if it's something in between, a tank and 2 vultures is generally best. Again, all just general rules, general findings. But yeah, there's no photon cannon here or here. And in fact, he's just getting one here. And you definitely do want to get one. He's going to be kicking himself because this is going to do way more damage than it probably should. Oh, man. Rush just finding a way to get that damage done. And doesn't kill a ton of probes, but look at this. He brings him back down to 54. Motive can't be happy about that. And in fact, the dropship's even going to get out. So everything going pretty smooth for Rush since he defended that DT drop. Triple add-on for his siege tanks. You can see Motive now is up 20 supply. That's just normal. You're going to macro quicker as Protoss. Obviously, gateway units are easier to produce than units out of a factory. Motive right now clearing a lot of the center, getting his stasis upgrade. Another Arbiter is coming. A new Nexus being started here from Motive as well in the top left. Now, I think one of the things you have to be careful about, right? How do you end up messing up a game here as Protoss? I think if you engage, like if they actually have a full fight army versus army and Motive loses that fight, Rush is going to just run away with the game very likely. I think you want to focus a little bit more on counterattacks on this particular map because these bases run out very, very quickly and it can be hard for Terran to get a 4th base. So if you engage and lose your army, that gives the Terran a window to actually go across the map and box you in and not let your army out more. But if you focus more on counterattacks on kickback, then it can become more base tradey. Your fringe bases have more power. You know, you could always come back and try to flank the army. You can try recalls and things like that with your army that might be stuck. And I've just generally seen that counterattack type plays, recall type plays are much better than engaging the full army. The Terran wants you to come up and have a proper engagement. They're like the British in the Revolutionary War or something, right? Like he's standing here in formation. He's like, let's fight. Let's fight. You want to do the guerrilla tactics. You want to be counterattacking. You don't want to engage this. Now, probes being sent over to that top left for Motive. It's got a large army. And as this goes on, right, Motive's bank is going to go up faster. Just to make this clear. Oh, the EMP hits both Arbiters. That's huge. That's huge. So he attacked up with the Vultures, and then Motive kind of attack moved down to deal with the Vultures, and he was dealing with them. Like, his engage was better. But that actually brought the 2 Arbiters next to each other because they were on attack move and he EMP'd them, which is huge. You can't engage this. You don't have any spells. This is gateway units that are technically invisible but aren't going to be at all against like this massive 2-1 mech army. Huge mistake there from Motive allowing that double EMP. You got to keep those Arbiters split up. You got to watch for moves like that. And now, like, I feel like you just have to play ultra decisive here. Look, he's got an observer. He should see that the army movement's here. It looks like what he's going to go for here is to slam into the army before it's really in a good position. But I don't know. Like, I feel like you got to run around and you got to try something like a counterattack, get behind the army, maybe threaten a flank. You can't attack this, though. You can't do it. He's got some High Templars coming out. Storm just finished. Another Arbiter is out as well. They are clumped up. He's going to go for another EMP here. Looks like he misses that one, but does hit that one. That hits the 2 that were already EMP'd. And now Motive's going to actually engage the army. This is what Rush is looking for here. Going to get on top of a lot of it. The Vultures are tanking mostly. Okay, moving up once again. This is just not an army that has any utility to it. Like, he's going to have, what, 1 stasis ready. Almost has a Psystorm. It's almost pure goon. There's just no universe in which Motive is going to be able to win with this type of army. You know, I like, Rush got him with the stasis. That was a good tactic to just send his vultures up and get the stasis off on double arbiter. That was huge. We're going to have a stasis off. I mean, it's good stasis. That's a good storm. Maybe he can kind of half clear this army, and then his next round can clear the rest. But really, you can't be doing full-on engagements like that, especially when you don't have any spells. It's just like, if it's just Gateway Man, that's about as weak as you can get. As you scale up, as you get big armies, Gateway Man doesn't do too much. Gateway Man with just Cloak isn't really there, right? Whereas it's like, oh, you have Stasis and Recall available. Okay, now we have a lot of different tactics that can be utilized in that battle. A lot of different ways that battle could end up going. Whereas if Rush just has a decent spread, yeah, that's not going to work. Now, Motive has made about 1 million Zealots in his main base. So we might see him come in. Oh, it looks like we do have a little bit of a flank. Another EMP goes out. Doesn't honestly get too much done there. Tries to attack the front afterwards. He will be able to kill quite a few siege tanks, but there's no real standing army for Motive anymore. Right? Anytime you're losing, like, all of your Dragoons, you're in a terrible spot because Terran doesn't even need to use siege mode at that point. Like, if you're playing against stuff popping out of gateways, you don't need to be sieged. And now we see Rush pushing every location. Excuse me. Vultures up here, killing off all the probes. Tanks over at 12 o'clock, killing this nexus. A siege up over here where the other gateways are. During this time, Rush has got another base. By the way, mined out. Almost mined out, right? Almost mined out. Rush is almost down to 1 base. So even though it really looks like Rush is going to win this, I do need to point out what I was talking about before, right? If you can just elongate the game by not taking a full engage, if you can just do things like counterattack, like, Motive was still mining because, don't forget too, right? Like, as he's taking more bases, he's spreading his probes more, so his income is staying way higher. Look at how many more mineral patches he has, right, than what Rush has. So he does GG, and Rush will end up taking the series 2-0. I do think Motive obviously looked better here than in SSL. Not that that's super hard, but it's good to give him a little chance to kind of show what he's made of here. But I just want to revisit the idea of counterattacking here, because if you counterattack a couple times, instead of taking these engages that we saw, yeah, he hit the MP here, and Rush kind of moved back and forth a little bit, and Motive kind of got himself boxed in. If instead Motive just makes ultra decisive moves, he's moving down here. See, he's got these, he sees the mines. He can either send 2 Zealots or send a group of goons, clear this, right? While Rush is moving up here. Let's jump back to there. Actually, that was too far back. It's closer to here. Okay. So let's go back and look at this again. Okay, here's the smart move, right? He's checking out where the army is. He really wants an EMP. Up come the vultures. Bam. Hits the EMP. He hit it perfectly. It barely hit this one. Totally smashed this one. And then it's like, okay, when you hit their only 2 arbiters with your EMP, you're like, let's go. Because there's not much that can go wrong, right? As long as you're not engaging over spider mines or something. So watch, right? Okay. Little bit of an engage here. Motive's running. This is the correct play. Engage, engage, engage. Siege is up, runs away. Okay, correct. Laying some mines. This is the important part from Rush, right? Because Rush knows what Motive should do here. And what Motive should do is counterattack. Rush wants the fight. He's trying to box him in. This is part of boxing him in. This is the counterattack path. He lays a bunch of mines here after they have a little engage and Motive is pulled back. And look, Motive has a good idea of what should be going on too. He's sending an observer down to this area. He's trying to keep an eye. He's got an observer here. He's got an observer there, right? He's trying to figure out, like, okay, where are you going? What's going on? What angle are you coming in from? So Rush lays the mines here, starts to move to the north. Here's this army moving back and forth. He wants to take a good engage. You can't attack through here into him, that's for sure. He doesn't really have spells. He almost has Psystorm with 1 High Templar, but the Arbiters aren't doing much. The thing is, you have to play the map, right? Maybe on a map where these are not even close to dry, it's like, yeah, well, I have to deal with the push. You don't necessarily have to. You can whittle it down because of all your nexuses and your better probe saturation spread out more evenly. So, like, realistically here, what he needed to do was try to stay away from the army. Now, it's easier said than done. If he goes directly south here, we see a lot of scans coming down from Rush. Maybe Rush tries to move through the center and blocks him off there, but you have to give some effort to some of these moves. See, okay, so he looked like he started thinking like he wanted to go down here, and then he turned around. Rush is sieged. You have to make those strong moves. You have to try to win the game, not lose it less badly. I don't think anyone cares if you get one decent engagement up here, if that's gonna you're like, I don't know. It's just, So see, another EMP goes off. Look at this spread. Look at the rallies coming in. You're just never going to win this with gateway units. Whereas if your army's down here right now, Rush has to decide, do I go down and meet it? Does he mirror it and go down here? He can't just simply attack move through the center at it because Psystorm is going to be in play, right? So maybe he has to move down here, and then suddenly the game is spread out, and we're like getting very low on these patches. So yeah, I think Motive drastically misplayed this after getting EMP'd. Obviously, there's a lot of stress. It's a lot easier to sit here and look at the game, seeing everything and tell you what you should do. But this is some fundamental stuff for the kickback map itself. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this revenge match. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.